Focus, please. Focus. Hello? What? Literally, the slightest movement sends me out of focus completely. Are we for real? There we go. I fixed it. Yay. So, as you guys can tell, and as you guys know from if you guys watched the last video, I have recently been obsessed with the Hunger Games to a point that I've never been before. Yeah, I've watched the movies, but I've never really been like as into it as I am now, which is kind of weird, but hey, I don't know. I think it's just the fact that the new movie's coming out. As of right now, the new movie comes out in 2 days. I probably won't be watching it until the 27th. For now, I'm gonna talk about my favorite things, just like kind of overall my thoughts on the Hunger Games. And maybe one day I'll make a video in depth of each like movie. But for now, we're just going to be talking about like the overarching story of it. I'm also going to be talking about things that I've heard like maybe 1 or 2 people talk about before, but I don't really hear people talk about too often. So I'm going to talk about that because I think it's fun. I think it can start some interesting and fun conversations. So yeah, speaking of which, if you like the Hunger Games too, like, can we talk about it? Like, let's talk about it. Maybe by like next week I'll be tired of the Hunger Games, but like right now it's my thing. I feel like I go through phases and they either last like a couple weeks or they could last like years. And so that's probably gonna be how this is as well, but it's okay. And then after I'm done watching the new movie, I think I'll make a video about it as well because I feel like there's gonna be a lot to talk about. Okay, so I just finished editing this video and I'm sorry, it's like literally 5 million years long. Like I literally just talk about the Hunger Games for the next 45 minutes. So yeah, I don't know. I just, like, I don't know. Whenever I talk about something that I really enjoy, I could talk about it for hours. And so that's why this video is so long. And I tried to break it down into points. Like, I was really trying so hard to make it as short as possible. And this was the shortest I was able to get it. So I'm sorry. So, like, I'd recommend, like, getting a snack. Like, playing a game on your phone. Like, scrolling through Pinterest or something. Or just playing this in the background while you clean or something like that. You know what I mean? I feel like that would make it a lot more digestible. But yeah, I hope you enjoy. Hopefully it's not boring. Yeah, let's just get into the video. Okay, but first I think we should start off with when and how I started watching it or like knowing about it. Okay, so this movie came out in March of 2012. I think somewhere like later in the year was when I first started watching it because it was like out for rent. I don't know if you guys know about these, but where I used to live, there was like the boxes with the CDs inside. You could like rent the CDs out or whatever for a couple days, and then you have to give them back to the machine or whatever. I forget what they were called. It was like Red Box or something like that. Me and my family like had one of those in our local grocery store, and so we'd go and like get movies. And one time we got The Hunger Games and we watched it all together, and we all cried when Rue died. It was great. It was amazing. And we really enjoyed the movie, but as a, like now that I'm thinking about it, I enjoyed the movie, of course, but I didn't really get it. Like I did not understand it, you know what I mean? Because I was a little kid. I was what? In 2012, I was like 8 or something. I was way too young to be understanding like the political themes of the movie and all that stuff. So like I had no idea what was going on. I just knew the Hunger Games was about kids killing each other in an arena. And that Katniss volunteered for her sister. Like I just knew the basic premise, but I didn't really understand the underlying issues within the movie. I don't remember watching Catching Fire for the first time. I don't know if I watched it when it first came out. I don't know if I even entirely skipped it. I'm pretty sure I skipped it. And I watched either Mockingjay Part 1 or Part 2 with my best friend in the movie theater at the time when it first came out. Great. It was a great movie, but again, I had no idea what was going on. And I don't think I watched Catching Fire at that point, so I was confused and I was lost. I remember watching the movies with my goose a lot. My goose is my grandma, for anyone that's confused. I call my grandma my goose. I don't know why, don't ask me. It's just what we call her. But yeah, I remember watching it with my goose when I was like, maybe like 12 or something. She just put it on and I'd watch with her. So I kind of understood a little more of what was going on in the stories. And then we watched it like a few times. I'm pretty sure I watched it a few times with her. Then my freshman year, I read the first book because my friend let me borrow it. But yeah, I read only the first Hunger Games. And then my friend let me borrow the second one, but I never finished it. And then more recently, when Hunger Games was on Netflix, I watched all the movies. Most recently, I've been watching a lot of people watching the movie for the first time, like doing like commentaries on it. I found a way to watch the movies for free. Back when I first watched it on Netflix, that's when I fully understood the whole story because I'd seen the whole thing beginning to end and I knew exactly what happened. Oh my goodness, I feel like now that I'm older, I can really appreciate this, like, for what it is. I can appreciate the Hunger Games so much more because I actually understand what's going on. I love that, like in the first movie, I just love the direction. I think of the whole thing, the sound design. Can we just take a moment to appreciate the sound design of the movie? It's so good. There's so many points where like Katniss like can't hear, so we as the audience don't hear anything either. And I think it's great. Like we hear like a ringing noise, and I love that. It makes it feel like we are Katniss. Like we can resonate with her while at the same time still watching, you know what I mean? Where we're like partially in the games with her. There's so many other times where like they use visual things to make us feel like we are Katniss. Like for example, in the second movie, this is right after. Oh, also, I forgot to say, I'm gonna be spoiling the movie. So if you have not seen any of the movies, what are you doing? Go watch them now. I'm gonna spoil it if you continue watching. So yeah, there's your disclaimer. And in the second movie, Katniss is about to go up into the arena, and Cinna dies right in front of her face. And as we're going up, we're blinded by the lights. We just see a bunch of white, and we have no idea what's going on. And then we can finally see, we regain our vision as Katniss, and we can see everything. But I think it's great how they make it seem like we are her. We're seeing things through her eyes, but I also like how they're able to incorporate things that Katniss cannot see. Like, I love the fact that we see what the game makers are doing and how we see the conversations between Snow and Seneca and like in the first movie. But at the same time, I feel like they could have utilized that a lot more. But you know, it's fine. I have no complaints. Except one, but like we'll get to it later. Anyway, one piece of direction that I feel like they incorporated so well that I never noticed before until this recent rewatch was the fact that we don't see Peeta right away. Like in the first movie, we have no idea Peeta exists. Who is Peeta? We don't know. We as the audience have no idea who this man is. We don't know who he is until the reaping. Okay? And then we hear Effie say, Peeta Malark, and it shows him. That's the first time we are introduced to Peeta. We have no idea who he is beforehand. They don't show us a flashback, nothing. We just don't know who he is until they're on the train and we realize that Katniss knows him from before. I think that's great. I think that's amazing because later on during the interviews, Peeta's like, oh, I like this girl, but I don't think she noticed me until the reaping. Which as the audience, as us being Katniss, basically, Katniss's eyes in this movie, we don't see Peeta until the reaping. We don't know who he is. Except we do kind of know who he is, but not fully right away. And I think that's amazing. I think it really drove home that fact. And there's so many other points in the movies that do that. But I can't think of them off the top of my head. So we're not going to get into them, but I know there's so many more. And it's great. Now on to like talking about things that actually happen in the movie. That's enough about my notes about the direction. Direction is great. It's amazing. They did a fantastic job. Those are the only notes I can think of off the top of my head. I know there's more. And if I were to do deep dives into each movie, I would talk about those. But I don't know. I don't know. And then also, soon I want to be able to read the books. I think I might get the books soon, like the book set or whatever, and then read them. And then I'll be able to talk about the Hunger Games more in depth because I'll know exactly what happens. You know what I mean? First thing I wrote down here is Rue's death. Let's talk about it because that hit hard. I was like, 8 years old, and I was crying at that scene. As an 8-year-old, I was not crying during movies at that point in my life. I think this was one of the first movies that ever made me cry. The first movie was Marley and Me, but this was, I think, the second movie that made me cry. As a little kid that didn't understand what was going on. Oh my goodness. Whoever directed the movie, props to them, especially the first one. I noticed so many like good little direction like details in the first movie. Great job, amazing. And that's one of them. But overall, Rue's such like a cute character. She's a little mischievous, but like she's cute. Like, I love her. And it's so upsetting that she died, but at the same time I understand why. You know, not everyone can make it out of the games, especially that first one. Only one person is gonna make it out, but obviously we know that 2 people make it out, but whatever. Next, I want to talk about Seneca Crane. I feel like no one talks about him ever. Like ever. I feel like, could he have been helpful to Katniss? Was he a helpful character to Katniss? Yes, he was, and I feel like he's so underrated. No one talks about it. Like, yeah, he was working for the Capitol. Yeah, he was genuinely close with Snow, but that doesn't mean that he didn't do everything in his power to make sure that Katniss won. Am I wrong? Am I wrong? Because he heard out Haymitch's pitch for like, we have to give him something to root for. We can root for young love, whatever. Like, hey, make it so that both of them can win. What did he do? He let it happen, and he let them both live. Bro could have easily killed them off. Easily. He could have easily done that early on, but no. I feel like deep down he wanted Katniss to win. He wanted this revolution to start. But I hate that we don't know more about his character and his motivations, but I feel like that was his motivation. He wanted to see something good come from this, you know? I'm trying to think of other reasons that he could have like wanted to save both of them, but there's not really any other reasons. Other than maybe he actually wanted a revolution and he saw Katniss as a hope. The hope that Snow saw her as. And I feel like props to him, even though he went out really crazy. Like he literally, he was in a room with a bowl of berries. The same berries that would have killed in Snow's eyes, that should have killed Katniss and Peeta. If that's not poetic, then I don't know what is. Snow is smart. Snow is so smart. And why is he like kind of iconic? Like, can we talk about it? Yeah, he's evil, but like he's kind of iconic. He was actually like kind of a master of like poetic justice in a way. Tell me why like he's kind of a good character. Not good. He's not a good character, but he's like written pretty well. Okay, also, oh my goodness, Cinna, we gotta talk about him. Cinna. I love Cinna. One thing that I want to know though, I wish I knew some more backstory about the designers for the tributes, because we don't know much about them at all. We don't even know anything about Peeta's designer. What's her name? I forget her name. I don't think she even has a line in the movie at all. Any of the movies, I don't think she has any kind of lines, but it's okay. Cinna, he's one of the best characters in the whole thing. Out of the people that she met during the first games, Cinna was the first person to support her. The fire? Like, are we for real? Since they come from the district of like coal and whatever, like he's over here, big brain, being like, oh yeah, we could coal. She's on fire. She's the girl on fire. Let's make her dress on fire. All her dresses on fire. If that's not like genius, I don't know what is. That's genius. That is genius. He was so smart in doing that. And I don't know. He has a special place in my heart. And that's why his death hurts me so bad. Every time I watch it, it makes me want to cry. I don't cry very many times during this movie. Like, there's maybe a couple times I cry. This is one of the times that I'm like literally on the verge of tears every time. And then we get thrust into the games and then the tears go away. I'm like, oh, whoa. Okay. Oh, Cinna, he deserves so much better. And then the fact that they end up using his designs later for the Mockingjay outfit. Oh. And I'm pretty sure he was in on it. He was in on the whole like bigger plan to get Katniss to District 13. I'm pretty sure he was in on that. And it's so upsetting that he never got to see that through to the end because he died right before it even happened. So, really sad. I don't even know why I said even like that. That was weird. I promise I don't have a weird accent. I just said it weird. Hey, Mitch. Bro. Hey, Mitch. At first I didn't like him, but he came around and he's actually a really good character. I never really sympathized with him until more recently. Like, you gotta think about it. Bro won the Hunger Games. At the point of the first movie, he won the Hunger Games maybe like 24 years ago or something like that. 24 years prior to having to train Katniss and Peeta. He won during a quarter quell, whatever, according to the books. I didn't read the books, of course, but like I know about this kind of. Anyway, he won during a quarter quell, whatever. He had to see, for the past 24 years, he had to see the people that he trained die. And so obviously he's going to be crazy. Obviously he's going to be a drunk. He's not going to be like fully invested because he knows that the last 48 people that came through that he met for the Hunger Games died. So he can't get too close. He can't get too attached. We know that. We know. And I think it's great how they showed that. You know, without outwardly saying how he felt, they made it known how he felt. And I think that's like, and especially, yeah, recently I've been really sympathizing with him and I feel so bad because you got to think about how that could damage someone. You become close with these people or you try to be like helpful for these people only for them to die. You know what I mean? So that's why he didn't have faith in Katniss and Peeta until later on. And then he gains faith. He's like, wow, they actually have a chance of winning this with Peeta's big mind of saying, yeah, like, we're lovers. Me and Katniss are lovers. So smart, so smart. And so he saw that there was potential to save both of them. And he did it. He sponsored them. He found sponsors for them. He was able to send things to them and help them win. Haymitch is an underrated character, and I think he's great. He's amazing. He's amazing. I feel like all the characters in the movie are written so well. Like obviously I know there's parts to their characters that I'm sure are explained better in the books, but just based on the movies alone, the characters are fleshed out quite well. Almost every single character is fleshed out really, really well, and I love it. I love to see it. But yeah, Haymitch, he's great. I will talk about him later, him and Katniss later, because they have a good relationship. Anyway, Peeta, I'm so glad he makes it out alive. I gotta be honest. I'm so happy he makes it out alive, because if he didn't, I don't know what I would do. I'd be so sad. Peeta is one of my favorite parts of the whole movie. He's a sweetheart. He's a sweetheart. He's so nice. And he's so sweet. And he's so helpful to Katniss. Like, it's so upsetting. The brainwashing plot was crazy, though. But it's okay. Because he redeemed himself. It's okay. And it's not his fault. It's okay. Like, it's okay. But yeah. Peeta, I don't know. I don't even know what to say about him. But he's, like, my favorite character in the movie. I watched the whole movie for him, basically. Like, basically, on the complete opposite of Peeta, we got Gale. One of my least favorite characters. I think, no, he is my least favorite character. I was going to say one of my least. No, he's not even one of the least. He is my least favorite character. Because why is he annoying? Even from the beginning, he's annoying. Katniss is about to kill a deer, okay? She's about to get some food for her family and, like, you know, make some money off this deer. But of course, in the first scene we see him in, he ruins that. He messes it up. And I feel like that's good, like, foreshadowing to his whole character arc. I don't know, he kind of ruins everything. Sorry, but I'm not. And if you're a Gale supporter, like, what are you doing? Like, genuinely, what are you doing? Because why? Like, he's actually the worst character, I think, in the whole thing. Like, some people can, like, defend him in the beginning. I can understand that. I guess I could see an argument for him. I just personally don't agree. Like, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. Even from the beginning, like, before I even knew that he was, like, gonna be bad and he wasn't gonna be chosen at the end, I didn't like him. There was just something off about him. And he's just weird. Like, he knows that Katniss isn't trying to focus on, like, relationships right now, and he's over here forcing himself on her. Like, please, sir, find someone else. Katniss is not the one, please. Katniss, she's a great character. She is actually one of my favorite, like, female protagonists in, like, anything ever. She's great. She's amazing. Like, and I feel like she's, like, relatable in a way. Obviously, she's not, like, I can't relate. My sister isn't going into the Hunger Games and I have to support her. Like, obviously, I can't fully relate, but I feel like there's so much sympathy to be had with her, and I just love that. I love how, like, realistic of a character she is, too. She doesn't do crazy things. She's a 16-year-old girl. She's just acting like a 16-year-old girl would in this situation. She's actually acting better than any regular 16-year-old would act in this situation. Especially, you gotta think about the fact that at the beginning of the movie, she's 16. By the second movie, she's probably, like, 17. And then I think by the third, she's possibly 18, but most likely still 17, maybe 17 and a half-ish. She's not a grown adult, but she acts like one, and I think it's great. She's able to protect her family. She's a strong young woman. Let's talk about it. Like, happy for her. I'm so happy for her. And I love that she has, like, a good ending in the end. It's so cute. I don't know. She's a great character, and yeah, I feel bad for her, though, because she never even won in any type of revolution or anything. She was a symbol of hope, but she wasn't even trying to be, and I think that's what's so cool about her. I don't know, and she does so many iconic things in the movies. It's like, girl. Okay, next, I want to talk about Effie's character growth. Because in the beginning of the first movie, she's careless. She doesn't care. She doesn't care about these people, you know what I mean? Like, may the odds ever in your favor. Like, because obviously, what else is she supposed to do? She works for the Capitol. She's getting her money, like, you know, she's looking great while she does it too. But, like, I'd say by, like, even the second movie, we can already feel sympathy for her. We already feel attached to her as a character. She's great. She's amazing, and she continues to go up. She continues to go up in my ranking. She's a great character. At the beginning, she's like, that's mahogany, you know what I mean? Okay. But then, the second movie, I'm like, oh, wait, maybe she's a good character. Maybe I kind of like her, like... and then by the third movie, I love her. She has a special place in my heart by the third movie. And the fourth movie, it just gets better. It just keeps getting better. She just keeps getting better, even though we don't really see her in the fourth movie. We see her, like, maybe at the beginning for, like, a little bit, and at the end for a little bit. We don't see her during the middle of the movie, which is really upsetting and kind of sad, but it's okay. Probably wondering like, okay, Kendall, get to the point. Why do you like her so much? At the beginning, she's careless. She doesn't care about these people that she's, you know what I mean? She lives in the capital. She gets paid to pick some names out of a bowl, you know, say the names, whatever, and go on about her day, help her tributes, and get her money. That's all she does. That's all she needs to do. Great. Awesome. And then by the second movie, I feel like we can sympathize with her because she knows like how difficult the situation must be. She had to get attached to these people just to watch them possibly die again. Again, like in this time, they're probably actually gonna die. If the game were to not end the way it did, Katniss and Peeta probably would have been dead. If not both, at least one of them. At least one of them. But most likely they were both dying. And she had to like grapple with that fact that she came close with these, like, her two victors, you know what I mean? What I don't understand about her character though is like, does she only pick the names for District 12 and there's like different people for each district? Or does she do that for every district? 'Cause I'm pretty sure she doesn't. Why would she do that for every district? But I think she only works for District 12. But then like, why? How did she get assigned District 12? And like, I don't know. It's like, it's very confusing, but it's okay. It's a little nitpick. I don't care. But by the third movie, we see that she's like in the bunker with them in District 13. And she's there. Oh my gosh. This is one part that really like makes Effie one of my favorite characters. Is the point where like they're about to shoot that propo with Katniss, but then she sees all the roses. This is after District 13 literally got bombed. Literally, District 13 had just been bombed. And Katniss had to shoot a propo saying like, oh yeah, 13 is alive and well, and so am I. Basically is what she had to say. Cressida's like forcing this on her. She's like, come on, Katniss, say your line. Like, this is your cue, say your line. And she's over here having like a mental breakdown. Katniss is having a mental breakdown because she sees these roses. She knows that something's gonna happen to Peeta if they don't get him out soon. You know what I mean? And so she's over here reeling. Like, she's going through it. She's going through it, basically. And everyone's forcing this on her. Even Gale. Gale's supposed to be the person that's known her the longest out of this group of people. And he says nothing. He's like, go ahead, Katniss, you can do it. She can't do it. She cannot do it right now. She's literally reeling. She's literally grappling with the fact that Peeta could die. The love of her life, whether she knows it or not, could die any second. And everyone's telling her, pushing her. And that's where we got Effie and Haymitch. And being great. Haymitch, oh my goodness. We'll talk about that later. But for now, Effie, she's like, guys, like, we can't do this right now. Like, stop. Like, for real, I know her. I know Katniss. She's going through it right now. Like, let's give her some space. Let's give her a second to breathe. Effie is a great character. And I love that, like, she really genuinely cares for Katniss. Because she could have easily gone back to the capital. Turned herself in. Lived her life of luxury again. You know what I mean? But instead, she stays in District 13 for Katniss. Because she genuinely does care about her, and I love that. It's a great, like, little dynamic that they have. Even though we don't see much of it, it's, like, we see it enough. And it's cute, and their ending is cute. Like, you know, like, we finally see a tear fall from Effie's eye. Obviously, she wipes away really quick, and she's good after that. But, like, still, it shows that she actually does care. And I think that's so sweet. Now that I've gone on a long rant about that, we're going to talk about 3 characters that I feel like weren't fleshed out enough in the first movie. Like, at all. Like, at all. Basically, first, we got Foxface. I don't really know much else about her at all. I've seen some theories, and that's what we're going to talk about right now, basically. But, like, we don't know her actual name. I'm sure it says somewhere where her district is, like what district she's from, but I forget. I don't really care. It's not essential to the story. Basically, she's really smart. There's a theory. I'm pretty sure it's on TikTok. Basically, the first time we ever see her is like during training or whatever, and she's like on the computer. You know, she's smart. She's figuring out this code or whatever that's like on the big screen, whatever. And then next time we see her, she runs into Katniss really quick, and they're both like, whoa. And they run, then they split. Then we see her, I'm pretty sure she runs to the cornucopia to get something really quick for herself. And the last time we see her is her death. She eats some berries and dies. Basically, the theory is she knew that the berries were Nightlock berries and she wanted to die. That's the theory. She was actually just really smart all along. Because, like, what are the odds that she was doing that thing? She was looking all smart. And she eats poisonous berries. And then dies. Because she sees PETA getting berries. I'm pretty sure she's smarter than to trust PETA when it comes to berries. Really upsetting. I feel like they definitely could have fleshed out the character more. I'm not really sure how, but they could have. There was a way, I know. Next. This one is, like, hello? Why is this one not... Why? Okay. Thresh. Okay, I understand we didn't really have much time to flesh out his character or whatever. But, like, at least we could have seen his death scene. Could we not have? I think we could have. We see him is killing that girl from District 2 because she's about to kill Katniss. But Thresh knows that Katniss, like, helped Rue and was allies with her, whatever, so he kills the girl from District 2 and spares Katniss when he could have killed her. And he's like, just this once because of Rue. It's for Rue. And she's like, oh my goodness. Thank you. Because he literally could have killed her right then. But, like, and then after that, we don't see him again. We just know he dies because of the dogs. But I feel like it would have been great to have seen his death scene. My camera's about to die. Really? Okay, sorry. I had to, like, redo my camera because it needs to charge. But I also need to finish this video, so yeah. Anyway, yeah, I feel like we could have seen Thresh's, like, death scene, at least. If they're not gonna flesh him out at all, then at least, like, let's see how he died. Because we know that he got an off-screen death. All of a sudden we hear him scream, we hear the dogs, and then boom, canon, we know it's him that died. But according to the books, he is a foil to Cato, and I think that's great. I wish we could have seen that. Basically, Thresh and Cato are like foils of each other. They're both really strong, you know what I mean? They're good at like hand-to-hand combat, things like that, whatever. But the only difference between them is that, like, obviously Thresh has humanity and, like, cares. And whereas Cato doesn't care. Let's say the roles were reversed and it was Cato and Thresh, like they were both in each other's situation. Cato would have killed Katniss despite the fact that she helped Rue. In a head-to-head like competition, I feel like it's between either of them. If it was up to me, I would have shown Thresh's death. I would have shown that, like, him and Cato were going at it against these dogs on top of the cornucopia. And basically at the end of the day, like, Thresh was so close to finishing off Cato, but he couldn't do it. So Cato ended up killing Thresh. I think it would have been great. With the vision I have in my mind, it would have been amazing. It would have been great. But yeah, I think it's so upsetting. And then even in the books, they talk about how Thresh literally had, like, a huge portion of the arena to himself. And no one dared, like, cross that line because they know that Thresh would kill him. Because he was that strong and that dominating. Like, I wish we could have seen that in the movie. We don't see that at all. And so I think that's really upsetting. But yeah, anyway. Overall, he's a good character, but I feel like they could have, like, fleshed him out at least a little bit more. There was definitely ways they could have done that. And last, we got Cato's death scene. This is the part that actually, like, really shows Cato as, like, a human and not just, like, a District 2, like, machine. But that's how Cato was taught. That's how he was raised. He was raised to bring honor to District 1 because he's a career. He trained his whole life. His whole life built up to this moment, and he was supposed to be the one that won. Cato's death scene really showed that, like, these people in District 1 and 2, they literally trained their whole life to bring honor to their district or whatever. Cato was their best person, their best shot at winning this. But he didn't win. He trained all his life and did all this for what? So I'm sure that was a very, like, crazy realization for him to have right before he dies. If that didn't, like, wake up the Capitol at least a little bit, like, it at least woke up the districts. Next, we got Katniss's speech in District 11. Oh my goodness, this is one of the parts, I think this is the part that I cry at most. Because, like, her little speech when she talks about Rue, mainly, like, Thresh, obviously that's sad too, but when she talks about Rue, and she's like, I see Rue, like, in the flowers behind my house, I see her and my sister Prim, that makes me want to bawl. And she really did become close with Rue, and it's so sad that, like, Rue died, you know what I mean? And for what? To be another piece in the Capitol's game? So sad. Oh, sorry. Next, the Quarter Quell. That's crazy. Let's talk about it. I wonder what the first Quarter Quell was, because I know the second one was the one that Haymitch was in, and I'm pretty sure in that one they had double the amount of tributes. So, like, that's crazy. The fact that Haymitch won not only against 23 other people, but 47 other people. Like, that's impressive. That's really impressive. But yeah. And then this quarter quell being from the winners, that's crazy. And the fact that they couldn't have picked it on a better year too, because Katniss had just won and she was probably the last piece that they had that they needed in order to do this. If Katniss wouldn't have won, this would have never happened because there wouldn't have been another female from like winner from District 12. So I think that's crazy. But yeah, so they definitely did this. This was definitely to get Katniss out. But then it's great because we see, I forget his name, the guy, he's the second game maker, whatever. He does this all to get Katniss to District 13. It's an elaborate plan, maybe too elaborate, maybe too crazy, but it works. It's great. Anyway, this is the part where we meet Finnick. Oh, I love Finnick. At first I was kind of like skeptical, but I think it's great because it's really showing how we're seeing things from Katniss's eyes, because obviously when she first meets him, she's skeptical too. She's like, but then once we see him in the arena more, like, you know what I mean? We get to know that like he's cool, he's trustworthy. Finnick, I love him. Him dying at the end, bro, that's gonna get me every time too, because he just got married, he just had a kid. And the ending where Annie's like she sends that letter to Katniss and Peeta at the end, and she's like, oh, like, you know, this is my son, he looks just like Finnick. Like, oh, stop. That's so sad. Like, it's literally so sad. I'm so upset. Why couldn't he have lived? I don't get it. I don't understand. Suzanne Collins, where are you? I have to make a complaint because what happened? Because why did Finnick have to die? There was no reason for it. There was no reason. He did not have to die. And I think it's crazy how, like, he was the youngest winner. He was the youngest person to ever win. He won the games at 14 years old. That's crazy. And so he was obviously a fan favorite. But I think that's like, aww. Aww. But yeah, Finnick, I love him. I love him. And I can see why the Capitol loves him too. But yeah, it's so upsetting that he died at the end. Like, that really hurt me. That actually was like a deep wound in my soul. And his relationship with Mags was so cute, because she basically raised him and he had to watch her die. She risked her life to save all of them. It's too much. It's too much. Next, we got Joanna. I love Joanna, actually. At first, again, I'm like, who is this girl? Like, she's kind of weird. But then I feel like the point where her turning point is right before Katniss's interview with Caesar, when she's like in her wedding dress and whatever, and she's like, huh, you're wearing a wedding dress? Like, okay. And Katniss is like, yeah, the President Snow wanted me to wear this. Like, she's being all like skeptical of the fact that she's wearing this wedding dress, or that's how she appears to be. But it turns out she actually is on Katniss's side. I love how I feel like she's really similar to Katniss. I feel like she is the way Katniss would have ended up if she had won without Peeta. Honestly, I think that's how she would have turned out. Which is really sad. Because we know that Joanna lost literally everyone she ever cared about in her life. But I don't think Katniss would have been as flashy as Joanna, but I think she's really cool. I think they're really similar in a lot of ways. The only difference is that Katniss is more like of a hope symbol for the people of Panem, whereas Joanna's not really that. She's just really aggressive. Okay, next we got the interviews with Caesar. This is one of my favorite parts of the whole movie. I feel like one thing about Caesar, I saw a comment about this in under someone's YouTube video, talking about how Caesar doesn't get enough credit because he made the tributes likable. My favorite interview was in Catching Fire, when Peeta talks about me and Katniss, like, we got married, whatever, like, privately, and like, I'd be happy to be doing this, whatever, I wouldn't have any regrets if it weren't for the baby. And then the whole, like, everyone's shocked, like, oh my gosh, stop the game, stop the game. Before, no one cared about these tributes. They don't care. They're trying not to get too attached because they don't know these people like that. They know they're probably not going to win, you know? But I feel like in this one, they've come to, like, love these people because they thought that they would never die like this way. And so I just think that's really upsetting. Katniss ending the games forever. Literally iconic. Iconic. That's, like, the most iconic thing, I think, in the movies that she's ever done. When she shoots the whole dome and everything and breaks down the game. Suzanne Collins, how did you come up with this? Because what? Like, oh my goodness. It's great. That is cinema at its finest, and I love to see it. But yeah, I just think that part's really good. I just had to talk about it. There's not much to talk about, but I think it's really cool. Now we're at the point where I'm confused. Because we know that PETA, you know, has this brainwashing plot. He gets taken by the Capitol and he's brainwashed to basically hate Katniss and see her as, like, a danger to him. So basically he gets back to District 13, tries to kill Katniss, we know this. And then they're like, okay, we're trying all these, like, these studies, we're trying all these new things to try to get him back so we can reverse all the damage that the Capitol has done to him. And they're like, okay, we're gonna send in someone that PETA trusts. So we're thinking, okay, maybe it's someone we've seen him interact with before. Honestly, I was thinking about it, I feel like it should have been Joanna, but I kind of understand why it couldn't be Joanna, because Joanna's going through her own things too, and I feel like they could have both triggered each other, and it just would have been bad. It probably would have ended badly. But he trusted Joanna more than he trusted the person that they ended up sending in, which was Prim. In what world has he ever trusted Prim? Why would they send Prim inside the room with him and be like, oh yeah, that's the person he trusts most? What do you mean? What do you mean? Since when does he trust Prim? He as of the movies, we never see them interact ever. Maybe there's like 1 or 2 times they're in the same room. Maybe they make eye contact. Maybe there's something I'm missing. Maybe they have at least spoken once, but other than that, we never see them interact at all. But somehow, like, that's the person he trusts most in District 13? Weird. I think that's really crazy and makes no sense. I'd understand maybe Haymitch, maybe, you know what I mean? They could find a way. Prim? Girl, when has he ever spoken to Prim ever? Okay, now we're on to the, like, Haymitch and Katniss's relationship. This is something I've realized recently. They have such, like, a father-daughter relationship that I never really realized before, because I'd never thought about it this way. But Haymitch is kind of like a father figure to Katniss in a way. Obviously, he doesn't start off that way, but then he's like one of the only males that obviously isn't pining after Katniss like that actually, like, cares. Maybe Cinna, but, like, we don't get to know him as well. Whereas Haymitch, especially in the 3rd movie, I feel like this is where it becomes more prevalent that there's, like, a father-daughter relationship. Oh my gosh, that part where we're going back to that scene that I talked about with Effie, where Katniss has to do these propos. Cressida's like, okay, say your line. Like, she's forcing Katniss to say her line. But Haymitch is like, wait, guys, like, stop. Like, she can't do this right now. And he goes over and hugs her. He's like, it's okay. Like, it's all right. He's helping her. He's comforting her during this time of need. And then I love it because right after that scene... Hello? I love it because right after that scene, we see Katniss, she's sitting by herself. And Haymitch comes in. He's like, hey, like, you're literally the only person in here that I trust. I don't really trust anyone else like I do you know what I mean? And I think it's so great. It really shows that they, like, really kind of have to be there for each other because they're the only, like, piece of familiarity in there. He, like, helped her throughout the first games. He helped her throughout the second games. He knew about this bigger plan to bring her to District 13. And I think it's great how he ends up becoming, like, a comforting person for her because even when they're during their mission where Gale's out with, like, the troops or whatever, the volunteers, whatever, and trying to get PETA out of the Capitol. And there's that part where, like, we're thinking that, oh my gosh, like, they're gonna die. Gale is gonna die, and they're gonna kill PETA too. And Katniss is, like, freaking out. She's like, oh my gosh, I can't lose both of them. Like, I can't lose both of them tonight. And then Haymitch is like, no, like, it's okay. Like, they're gonna be okay, whatever. And he, like, comforts her. Like, please. I think it's just so sweet. It's such a father-daughter, like, relationship, like, dynamic, and I think it's really good because obviously they have their fights. They have their times where they don't agree, but at the end of the day, they are there for each other. And they have developed, like, a good, strong relationship. And I think that's so cute. Even at the end, when they're doing that vote of, like, oh, should we do a Hunger Games with the Capitol's children? Haymitch is fully on Katniss's side. Whatever Katniss said, he was gonna go along with it. He trusts her. And I love that. I love that we can see that trust. Here's the reason that I don't like Gale. Basically, okay, first of all, before we knew he was a pick-me, he was annoying. He's like, Katniss, like, don't you love me? And then he would allow her to kiss him, but then he'd be like, it doesn't mean anything because I know I'm always going to be second to him. And he's talking about PETA. Like, obviously, duh. They trauma bonded. You can't beat that. I need a minute before I talk about this. Okay, the way he said, like, oh, I'm going to protect your sister forever. Like, I'm always going to protect her. Obviously, I know he wasn't meaning to kill Prim, but he still did. And he knows that Katniss wouldn't have wanted this. He knows that Katniss wouldn't have wanted these kids to be bombed. But the way he was just so thirsty for blood was crazy. And Burrow really said, like, oh, I don't care. Even if, like, they're, like, just mopping the floor for the Capitol, they're still working for the Capitol. They're still working for the enemy. And they need to die. What? Bro. So I'm glad she didn't end up with him. I'm glad they didn't even end on good terms because what? And then yeah, the fact that he killed Prim, I think was really the last final straw for him. Also, since Prim died, whatever happened to Katniss's mom? Because we never see her mom again. And the fact that we never really see the mom, even when she is alive, we see her in a couple scenes. She maybe has like 5 lines throughout all the movies. Like, I get it, she's supposed to be like a mother that's not really there for her kids because she can't be because she's like mentally insane. But like, at least like flesh her out a little bit. At least have her have a few lines, a few little moments with either Katniss or like Prim would have been great. Would have been sufficient. Even just a couple like little scenes of her talking to them. We don't see that ever, and I'm just like, bro, really? Then why is she even here? She might as well be dead. Sorry. And then one thing I just thought about is the scene with Katniss and the cat. Basically, right after Prim dies, Katniss goes back to like her house in Victor's village, and she sees the cat there. It's Buttercup from like the beginning. That's Prim's cat. Prim's cat, so cute. Whatever. Even though like the cat's kind of a brat. That was kind of bars, sorry. Despite everything that happened, like, Katniss is literally trying to hurt this cat, and the cat's just chilling there. And then she cries into the cat because she knows, like, this is the last piece of her sister that she has. And so she just starts breaking down and crying. It's such a moving scene. Like, I don't know. It's crazy because it's, like, Katniss calmed down, but at the same time, like, her sister just died. She's done everything she could to protect her just for her to die in the end. You know what I mean? So upsetting. But then that scene with the cat, it's just gonna get me. It's so sad. Like, you can really see Katniss like breaking down. Peeta and Katniss's relationship is so complicated. Like, there's so many different parts, so many twists and turns, whatever. But overall, like, they really do care about each other, and I think it's so cute how they're always gonna be there for each other. And I feel like something that's not talked about enough is Katniss's love for Peeta. She literally did everything she could to get him back. She got him back only for him to want to kill her. Like, that's crazy. I think that's wild. Like, President Snow really knew the best way to get to Katniss was through Peeta, because even though she didn't want to admit it, she really did love him. She loved him the entire time. Maybe, okay, not the entire time, but she loved him, I'd say, after, like, midway through the 75th games. She loved him. And then the pearl, I love how that comes back around. I think that's really cute. Okay, now let's get to my favorite part of the whole thing. It's the part where Katniss is like supposed to go and execute Snow. She's literally about to kill him. She has her bow and arrow, whatever. She's about to shoot it. But then last second, she shoots for President Coin because she realizes that President Coin was trying to do the same thing that President Snow was doing, like earlier in the movie. Because she knows that at the end of the day, President Snow's gonna die, like, soon. He's on the verge of death. Whereas President Coin, she was gonna live a long, prosperous life, and she was gonna have all this power. Katniss, she really knows how to, like, make a big, grand thing. So yeah, that whole ending, it was amazing. But yeah, I like how they set up the fact that President Coin was kind of bad from the beginning. Like, when Boggs told Katniss, like, hey, like, I think President Coin sees you as a threat. And, like, as long as you're alive, you are standing in the way of her having full power. So, like, be careful around her, because she will try to kill you. I think that's really cool. And then the fact that, like, we have that part where she's talking to that games maker guy. I forget his name. She's, like, talking to the games maker guy, and she's like, so I don't know what Katniss is doing right now, but, like, we need to let everyone know that whatever game she's playing it for us. She's not trying to, you know, she's not making her own game. We are controlling her. No matter what she's doing, we're controlling her, even though we have no idea what she's doing. It's all on us. We made this up, okay? Like, I think that's, like, it's a great way of showing. It's showing, not telling, you know what I mean? Like, obviously she's telling us, but it's also showing her true character and her true intentions. The fact that she doesn't like Katniss because she knows Katniss will be someone that, like, everyone would look up to. And, like, even after all this is done, whether Katniss wants it or not, she's always going to be someone that people look up to in terms of hope and things like that. And they would want to elect her as a president. So obviously it's evident that President Coin's going to want to kill her because she has power. And that's power that President Coin wants. So I think that's, like, great how they were able to show that without, like, outwardly saying it. Until Boggs said it. Obviously, Boggs said it, and then we knew for sure. But even before that, they have that little conversation, and we can tell that President Coin maybe isn't as good as we think she is. But I feel like they fleshed her out a lot better than they did with President Snow. They talk about like how her husband and her daughter died, and so she has like no one left. So she's just trying to fight to finish this revolution, whatever. It's great. I think it's amazing. And that leads me to the end of the whole story. The last scene. This is my favorite scene, I think. No, it's like top 5 favorite scenes of the whole thing. Where like we see, you know, it's future Peeta and Katniss and they're with their kids. Oh, it's so cute. It's so cute. And they're able to live their like little peaceful life. And like before that we see scenes of them like Katniss has a nightmare. Peeta rushes in. He's like, "What's wrong?" She's like, "It's just a nightmare." He's like, "Yeah, I get them too." And she's like, "Can you stay with me?" He's like, "Always." Oh, it's so cute. I love that they get a happy ending. I'm so happy they didn't kill off Peeta at the end, because I think I would have like hated the movie forever if they did something like that. So yeah, I think it was so cute. The ending was amazing. Just overall, the whole series is great. If you couldn't tell, I literally went on like however long this video is of a rant about it. But yeah, I think that's gonna be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I don't know. I'm sorry it's kind of annoying. I've watched other interests that I feel like I could talk about for hours and hours, and I would love to do that. So let me know if you guys would want to see some more things like this, of things that I'm interested in. Because another thing that I really, really enjoy is Gravity Falls, if you guys didn't know. And I'd love to talk about that, but I don't know if you guys would want to see that. So let me know. I don't know. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you guys didn't get bored because I talked forever. But yeah, it's super late and I'm really tired, so I need to go to sleep now. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.